Anytime you can't go directly from one unit to another in a single step, you need to use a multi-step unit conversion. For example, converting from miles to centimeters can't be done in one step. First, you have to convert miles to feet, then feet to inches, then inches to centimeters. This would be a multi-step unit conversion. You can solve any unit conversion by using these 4 steps. First, you need to identify your knowns and unknowns by asking what am I starting with and what do I need to convert it into. Step 2 is to map the path. In this, you want to figure out the route to get from your starting unit to your ending unit. Sometimes this can be just one step, but oftentimes you have to go through 2, 3, or even 4 units to get there. Step 3 is to set up your conversion factor multiplication. Start by writing your given number as a fraction over 1. For example, a mile over 1, then multiply by a unit conversion that diagonally cancels out your units that you were given and leaves you with the units that you were wanting. For example, feet over miles. Here the miles cancel and leave you with feet. And you want to continue doing this until you are left with the units that you want. So we can go from feet to inches, and then from inches to centimeters. Step 4 is to solve and check units and sig figs. First, you need to make sure that all the unwanted units cancel out correctly. In this example, miles cancel miles to leave us feet, then feet cancel with feet to give us inches, and then inches cancel to leave us with centimeters. In order to solve this, we multiply all the top values together and the bottom values together, and then divide the two products. Then you want to round your final answer to the correct number of sig figs based on the numbers given in the problem. If you always follow this process, unit conversions will never feel confusing. Now let's jump into practice problems and do these together step by step. Convert 3 hours to seconds. First, we'll start with identifying our variables. We were given 3 hours, and we want to convert into seconds. Then we need to map our path, which is hours to minutes, then finally to seconds. So writing out our conversion factor multiplication, we get 3 hours over 1 times the conversion factor of minutes to hours, which is that 60 minutes, is equal to 1 hour. And then we can go from minutes to seconds by multiplying through our conversion factor of 60 seconds in every 1 minute. Here we want to make sure that our units cancel diagonally and leave us with the units that we want. So we have hours cancel and leave us with minutes, and then minutes cancel to leave us with seconds. To solve this, we multiply 3 times 60, and then that product by another 60, which gives us that 3 hours is equivalent to 10,800 seconds. Convert 5 kilometers to inches. First, we need to identify our variables. We were given 5 kilometers, and we want to convert them into inches. Then we need to map our path, which is first from kilometers to meters, then from meters to centimeters, and then we can convert from centimeters into inches. So writing out our conversion factor multiplication, we start with our given of 5 kilometers over 1, then we multiply by our unit conversion factor, which cancels out the kilometers and leaves us with meters. We know that 1,000 meters is equivalent to 1 kilometer. Then we can convert from meters to centimeters by multiplying through our conversion factor of 100 centimeters for every 1 meter. Then finally we can go from centimeters to inches by multiplying through our conversion factor of 1 inch is equivalent to 2.54 centimeters. Checking this, we need to make sure that our units cancel diagonally and leave us with the units we want. So our kilometers cancel and leave us with meters, then the meters cancel, leave us with centimeters, and then the centimeters cancel to leave us with inches. So solving this, we multiply the top numbers by each other and multiply the bottom numbers by each other, and then divide the two values. Solving this, we get that 5 kilometers is about 196,850 inches. Convert 60 miles per hour to meters per second. First, we'll start by identifying our variables. We were given 60 miles per hour, and we want to convert to meters per second. Then we need to map our path, which is converting miles to kilometers, and then those kilometers to meters, and converting hours to seconds. First, we'll start by writing our given value over a factor of 1, and then multiplying through our conversion factor that gives us the units that we need. First, we'll convert the miles to kilometers by multiplying through our conversion factor of 1.609 kilometers for every 1 mile. Then we'll convert from kilometers to meters by multiplying through our conversion factor of 1,000 meters for every 1 kilometer. Now we have converted our top unit, we need to convert our bottom unit. To do this, we need to multiply through our conversion factor that takes us from hours to seconds. This is that 1 hour is equivalent to 3,600 seconds. Now we need to make sure that all of our units cancel out properly. Here the miles cancel and leave us with kilometers, and then the kilometers cancel to leave us with meters. Then the hours cancel to leave us with seconds. This gives us meters over seconds. Solving this, we multiply all the top numbers together, then the bottom numbers together, and then divide the two products. This gives us that 60 miles an hour is about 26.82 meters per second. Convert 2,500 milliliters to gallons. First, we'll identify our units, which is 2,500 milliliters, and we want to convert to gallons. In order to do this, we need to go from milliliters to liters, and then from liters to gallons. So setting up our conversion factor multiplication, we write our given units of 2,500 milliliters over a fraction of 1, and then multiply by our unit conversion, which cancels out milliliters and leaves us with liters. This is that 1 liter is equivalent to 1,000 milliliters. Then we convert from liters to gallons by multiplying through a conversion factor that cancels out liters and leaves us with gallons. This is that 1 gallon is equivalent to 3.785 liters. Now we need to make sure that our units cancel to leave us with the units that we want. Here we have the milliliters cancel to leave us with liters, and then the liters cancel to give us gallons. So solving this, we multiply the top values together and the bottom values together, and then divide the two products. This gives us that 2,500 milliliters is equivalent to 0.660 gallons. Convert 4.5 pounds to grams. First, we'll identify our values, which is 4.5 pounds, and we want to convert to grams. To do this, we need to go from pounds to kilograms, and then from kilograms to grams. Setting up our conversion factor multiplication, we start with our given value of 4.5 pounds over a fraction of 1, and then multiply by our unit conversion factor that cancels out the pounds to leave us with kilograms. This is that 0.4536 kilograms is equivalent to 1 pound. Then to go from kilograms to grams, we need to multiply by our unit conversion factor of 1,000 grams for every 1 kilogram. Canceling our units diagonally, we get that the pounds cancel to leave us with kilograms, and then the kilograms cancel to leave us with grams. Solving this, we multiply all the top values together, which gives us that 4.5 pounds is equivalent to 2,041 grams. Convert 12 square feet to square centimeters. We'll start by identifying our values. We were given 12 square feet, and we want to convert to square centimeters. In order to do this, we need to go from feet to inches to centimeters. So to write out our conversion factor multiplication, we need to start with our given value, 12 square feet, over 1, and multiply by our unit conversion that cancels out the feet to leave us with inches. This is that there are 12 inches in every 1 foot. But because the feet are squared, we need to also square our conversion factor. Now we can convert from inches to centimeters by multiplying through a conversion factor of 2.54 centimeters for every 1 inch. And because inches are squared, we also need to square this conversion factor. Solving this, we get that the feet squared cancel, and leave us with inches squared, and then the inches squared cancel, leave us with centimeters squared. This gives us that 12 square feet is equivalent to 1,114.8 square centimeters. Convert 30 miles per gallon to kilometers per liter. First, we will identify our given values of 30 miles per gallon, and we want to convert to kilometers per liter. To do this, we need to first convert from miles to kilometers, and then from gallons to liters. So writing out our conversion factor multiplication, we start with the units that we were given of 30 miles per gallon over a factor of 1 and multiply by our unit conversion that cancels out miles to leave us with kilometers. This is that there are 1.609 kilometers for every 1 mile. Now we can convert from gallons to liters by multiplying through our conversion factor of 1 gallon is equivalent to 3.785 liters. Solving this, we see that the miles cancel to leave us with kilometers, and then the gallons cancel to leave us with liters. This gives us kilometers over liters. So 30 miles per gallon is about 12.75 kilometers per liter. Convert 5.2 kilograms per cubic meter to grams per milliliter. First, we'll identify our given values of 5.2 kilograms per cubic meter, and we want to convert to grams per milliliter. To do this, we need to first convert from kilograms to grams, and then from cubic meters to milliliters. Writing out our conversion factor multiplication, we start with our given value of 5.2 kilograms per cubic meter over a fraction of 1, then multiply by our unit conversion, which cancels out kilograms to leave us with grams. This is that there are 1,000 grams in every 1 kilogram. Now we can convert from cubic meters to milliliters by multiplying through our conversion factor of 1 cubic meter is equivalent to 1 million milliliters. Solving this, we see that the kilograms cancel to leave us with grams, and then the cubic meters cancel to leave us with milliliters. So we are left with grams over milliliters. So 5.2 kilograms per cubic meter is equivalent to 0.0052 grams per milliliter. Convert 50 joules per second to horsepower. First, we'll identify our given values of 50 joules per second, and we want to convert to horsepower. To do this, we need to go from joules per second to watts, and then from watts to horsepower. So writing out our conversion factor multiplication, we start with our given of 50 joules per second over a factor of 1, and then multiply by our conversion factor, which cancels out joules per second to give us watts. This is that 1 watt is equivalent to 1 joule per second. Then we can convert from watts to horsepower by multiplying through our conversion factor of 1 horsepower is equivalent to 745.7 watts. So solving this, we get that the joules per second cancel to leave us with watts, and then the watts cancel to leave us with horsepower. So 50 joules per second is equivalent to 0.067 horsepower. Convert 80 kilometers per hour to feet per second. First, we'll start with our given values of 80 kilometers per hour, and we want to convert to feet per second. To do this, we need to first convert kilometers to meters, and then from meters to feet. Then we can convert from hours to seconds. So writing out our conversion factor multiplication, we start with our given value of 80 kilometers per hour over a factor of 1, and multiply by our conversion factor, which cancels out kilometers and leaves us with meters. This is that 1,000 meters is equivalent to 1 kilometer. Then we can convert from meters to feet by multiplying by our conversion factor of 3.281 feet for every meter. Now we can convert from hours to seconds by multiplying by our conversion factor of 1 hour is equivalent to 3,600 seconds. Solving this, we get that the kilometers cancel to leave us with meters, then the meters cancel to leave us with feet, and finally the hours cancel to give us seconds, leaving us with feet over seconds. So 80 kilometers per hour is about 73.5 feet per second. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and let me know in the comments what topics you'd like to see next. Thanks for watching.